Mic check. 1, 2, 3. Welcome in, everyone. It is Tuesday night. Probably one of the best Tuesdays I think we've had yet. Tonight's gonna be a fun episode. It really, really is. And real quick, I'm gonna stand up because my camera is off slightly. You guys can't tell, but I am very picky about these things. There we go. I think that's a little bit better. Look a little bit more straightforward with you guys. I think my hair is different every time. I just can't pick a hairstyle, so this is where we're at. As you may have seen from the title of this video, you're going to be very confused for the next 30 minutes, and that's okay. The goal isn't to understand everything I'm about to tell you. We have the Ascend Collective, our free community. We have the Altura Project, our soon coming inner circle of NFTs, which will be worth thousands, if not millions of dollars in the future, that you guys will join to get this true knowledge, where I can't just say it on the platforms I'm speaking currently, because they like to shut you down. And so I'm going to give you a taste of the information that you really need to know. The stuff you never learned in school, and most importantly, the things that have the highest impact on your life that you've been purposely misled to believe is crazy. We will break the code. Tonight, we'll talk about manifestation. Not the crystal girl tarot card reading stuff, the affirmations, but how to truly master the simulation of your reality without the woo, without the craziness, without being labeled a conspiracy theorist. Because the biggest secret that you don't know about the way the world works is everyone talks about manifestation like it's a vision board party. I've heard of girls that meet at the end of the year with their poster board like they're doing a science fair, and they cover it with these different pictures of what they're looking for in reality in their future. Most of the time, really just what they are looking for their man, future husband to have. It's not. It's quantum sabotage, if you believe that. If you believe that putting pictures up on a board is going to necessarily change reality. It's very ironic coming from me too. I actually have a picture of the house I'd like to live in the future right here. You see, it's like a nice little mountain house chalet thing. I'd like to move out to the kind of the woods, be close to stuff, but have my reality be more quiet from the way it is now. And so I set that vision where I can see myself in the future, right? It's like picturing yourself making the free throw. But that's not exactly how it works. Just having a picture isn't going to lead to it becoming a thing, a reality in your life. You need to understand how reality actually gets coded. And yes, I mean coded. If you've seen the movie The Matrix from I think it's the late 90s, if not early 2000s, The Matrix shows that a reality is a simulated computer program. Now, I'm not necessarily going to say that's true or false, but let's take the concept of what they're getting at. Because in a lot of ways, every single big piece of media has hidden messaging behind it. Doesn't mean you dismiss the entire idea, then instead say that The Matrix is just a fun thought experiment. You understand that it's picking at something that's real in our life, something that is well kept secret, because it keeps the people who control the results of the simulation or the life that we live in power. Most will live and die inside of a simulated version of our life, mapped by belief, expectation, and environmental programming. We think that we have no control over the external environment. I want you to think about this real quick. Imagine a video game character gets full consciousness. Some of you have played Grand Theft Auto or Call of Duty, right? Imagine if your character realized that they were in a simulation and they turn around, right? Instead of Call of Duty with the gun facing that way, you see your character turn around and look at the screen and say, "What is this? Let me out. I don't want to be in here." Would that freak you out? Yeah, because the goal of the simulation, and I'm using this term very broadly, right? It doesn't actually mean a computer program. It doesn't have to. It can just mean a version of our reality that our bodies perceive as being real. Me sitting in this room, feeling air, hearing my fan, all my senses working to interpret the environment around me. What my body and my environment is telling me is that I seem to not have control, because my learning mechanisms, my education up to this point has told me that people have more money from me, and therefore that's the only way to control the results around me, when that's as far from the truth as you can probably get. Most believe that they don't really have control, and therefore that something else has to have control. And if they recognize this fact that they have absolutely no control, and they just believe that things will change in their life, that it will, they're not wrong. And in reality, that's the foundation of a lot of religions in society. Christianity is a huge, huge one that does this in many different sects of the religion. I'm not going to get too deep. Muslim religion too does that. Judaism does that. There's all these different types of religion that echo the same principle of that there is a creator, there's a creation that we are living in. Some call it an actual creation, like you make an art project type of thing. Others call it a simulation. Others call it a egg that we're in, whatever it may be. But what religions call faith, neuroscientists call this predictive coding. Today, we're going to stack ancient wisdom. We're going to stack cold logic and sovereign science. For those of you who are more logical minded, to think that none of this actually made sense, to think that you can't rewire yourself just by manifesting things. I thought the same way, and I'm here to proudly admit I was wrong, and you are probably wrong too. And of course, I can't prove that because it's still a belief, but I can show you the results of how thinking otherwise will change your reality for good, even if you never know for sure. Let's break the code tonight. Let's engineer outcomes that you want in your life. And let's stop being a side character in your own story. Let's stop watching someone else play the video game with your life and take back the controller and get the things you want. If that sounds good to you by any means, I'm Caleb Schulke. This is the Ascended Podcast. I'm welcoming you back one more time. The first thing I want to make known is this central theme. Don't manifest, at least not in the way you're taught to. I want you to think of it as engineering, because too many of you that don't believe in manifestation, the reason you don't is because you're thinking too logically about it. So actually don't give up that way of thinking. Just use the different terminology that's appropriate. Call it engineering. Everyone's talking about manifestation like, again, it's some sort of crazy magic thing, right? The brain doesn't see reality. And I want to make that known. The simulation that we're in, it's kind of an inside job. It's not a casting screen in a movie theater, right? It's a predictive model, like AI. It doesn't know what's going to come next. It fills in the gaps for you using patterns of the most logical outcome to come next. Controlled hallucination shaped by expectation, memory, bias, and sensory input. Something that I've looked into and done a lot of research on that seems very similar to this is what happens when we're not in control completely is dreaming. When we dream about things, if dreams a lot of times feel familiar, right? You can think of things that you feel like it's deja vu, you've seen those people or things before in your conscious waking, but you're not in control of your dreams. And it's a very vivid image a lot of times. You can very vividly see things in your dreams, but you're not controlling it. So what makes you think that when you wake up, the way you perceive reality is different? Does that make sense? The brain doesn't see reality. The wavelengths that your eyes see, that are picked up by the cochlea and your vibration hair cells in your ears to hear, all of the different wavelengths are different and they kind of overlap for a lot of your senses. So using them together, you get a full vivid picture of what we think is reality. When you look at how much of those senses, the wavelengths that get picked up by your body and sensing versus the entire wavelength of spectrum, you realize that we only interpret a fraction of what's actually going on in the world behind us. Now, what if aliens are real? They just operate on a frequency that's different from what we can interpret. What if they're speaking to us right now? We just can't hear them because the wavelength of sound that their thoughts and their noises come from are just not ones that we interpret. You know what I'm saying? It seems a little crazy, but I'm just using that as a thought experiment. We see like probably a single percentage at the most of the wavelength and the frequencies that come around us. So I want you to think about that. Dr. Anil Seth, who's a neuroscientist who has done a lot of research on this topic, says that reality is indeed controlled. Your beliefs and priors become the filters for your entire experience. That's how learning works. That's how intuition kind of develops over time. I'll explain it like this. Something happens to you as a kid. You put your hand on the stove for about a second. It burns the shit out of your hand. Although it's only a second, right? You learn not to do that again. You've just added one filter into your perception of reality. You've said that every time I touch this surface, reality is going to tell me that it's hot. And so I have to always be careful when I touch the surface. That's a rule that we learned. And that's how that learning happens. A lot of it is for our own survival. And so the external world that we interact with, the way we perceive it is mapped by these beliefs about what we think is going to happen in it. I'm going to get into it a little bit more broadly here. You stay out of certain neighborhoods in the city, right? You're not going to just walk freely on the scary south side of town or whatever it is if you're in Chicago versus the more common metro areas. You're going to act differently because your body's going to perceive the threat level, the danger, the hazards around you as being greater, even if they're not. Even if the actual danger, there's a shooter right in the central part of town that's going crazy. If you drive to that southern part, you're still going to worry. Do you know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm going to use that phrase a lot because to me still I'm trying to make sense of all of this, but I understand that it is real. And so I'm making a conscious effort. So if I'm not perfect here tonight, just understand that. Feel free to leave a comment and correct me because I'd love to get your take on if I'm spewing this out the right way. But the external world, this cup, before I touch this Bloom Energy, not sponsored, please sponsor me, Bloom. I think I'm going to be able to grab it. What happens, right, if I go to reach it and my hand just phases through the cup and I can't actually grab it, my hand just goes straight through it? That wouldn't make sense, right? But you don't know that. There's a good chance that, I would say great chance, right? But there's always a chance that my hand could just phase through this, the way the atoms move. Technically, that always exists, right? And I don't actually know that this material is the same material every single time I see one of these cans. It could be different. I just saw the experiment on, I think it was the Lex Friedman podcast, but his guest was saying, most of what we think we know is actually just belief. How do you know your father is your father? How do you know? Have you gotten a DNA test? And even if you did, you have to believe that that DNA test was accurate. The way you know your father's your father is because he's there, probably, for most of you, and your mother told you he's your father. But how does he even know he's your father? How does he know he's the husband of that wife? Well, he went through the marriage process. He thinks he has a document that has his name on that he thinks holds up. But in terms of having you as a child, he doesn't know that that's actually your kid unless he gets a DNA test. And again, you have to trust in that test. You see what I'm saying? Is like, we can think we know something as a fact, but then information, like in science as a theory, could always come and contradict that information. That's why gravity is a theory. That's why the laws of physics are theoretical, because we get one piece of information, everything that's looked like the truth up to this point in history is all of a sudden contradicted. What you expect is literally what you're most likely to see, feel, and attract. It's a calculation, but it's not certainty. What most people don't realize is we think everything is certain, therefore. We think that this can is always gonna be solid because it always has been, which makes sense, right? But I'm gonna tell you, for the more broad things in your life, and especially the fact that the future doesn't exist yet, you think that your future is certain like everything in the present and past, when the future is actually malleable. That's why it's one of the craziest things to study. Your life isn't held back by facts. It's filtered by expectation. Upgrade your mental code and the simulation shifts. I'm gonna get into this a little more, but I kind of need to take a break just for you guys to think about everything I just said and think about if that makes sense. I'm going to pause here for a second, or feel free to pause this video and comment if anything up to this point is confusing. I'll try to answer it if I get the chance to. To understand religion and belief, we have to understand the process of how faith works. Religions aren't just stories. They're instructions for hacking reality. The thing I'm about to tell you on this podcast tonight might break your entire version of what you think religion is. I'm going to pick the most popular one for people I know and that is in my life, which is Christianity. We're going to just talk about that one, but take the same principles and apply that to Buddhism, to Hinduism, to Islam, to all of the major religions. People that we claim knew everything in these religions, that had the ultimate knowledge. Let's talk about Jesus for a second. Jesus was most likely a person who had accurate instructions, or close to accurate instructions, for hacking reality. If life is a video game, then Jesus was the highest ranked player on the video game, and his leaderboard hasn't been broken. It's been close, right? There's been a lot of great players that could bend reality and achieve things for themselves. Jesus was most likely the most on point with his assumptions. The placebo effect isn't just a fluke. Belief reprograms your physiology and probability landscape. What he was trying to say is essentially, act as if something is already true, and you can change your reality. Act as if the water is wine and it becomes wine. Too many of you guys focus on the stories. Did he wear this like red gown this day versus white, or like all these things that I'm just gonna tell you right now doesn't matter. You're focusing on the wrong details with religion. And I'm attacking religion tonight. I think it is wrong. I think you guys made too much of a fan club about the best players in the game, when if Jesus could talk to you right now tonight, if any of these prophets that have been notoriously celebrated throughout any religion could talk to you, Muhammad or anybody else, they would tell you, stop giving a shit about them. It's not about the person. It's not about who did Jesus have a beard or not, right? It's about, you understand what he was trying to do. The goal is actually to become Jesus. You can. His goal was to tell you how to use the instructions to change your reality. Everything that he did was backed by belief. He had faith that what he was doing was going to lead to a better reality. It did for everybody. I was raised religious, and I spent quite a few years separated. After 6th grade, I went to public school from being in a private religious school. I think it was Lutheran mainly. But I did some time experimenting of like, do I believe in religion? Is all this like going to chapel and religion class and all the stuff I had baked into that private school architecture, was that all just bullshit? Is religion actually backed by something, or is it a money-grabbing scheme set to be able to benefit 501c3 people and basically farm money from the poor, hardworking people because they wanted to take advantage of the fact that if they believed they'd live a better life after this existence, they'd be willing to pay money and donate it to the pastors that could then fly their $500,000 private jets into the Bahamas for vacation. Probably not the only person who believes that that's the case, right? And I did for a long time. But here's what I'm going to tell you. Religion isn't wrong either. It's just the way that it's practiced, like I said, is wrong. Listen carefully to what he's saying. And there's a lot of reverends and pastors and people like that that get it wrong. And I wish I could beat them with it's like, man, stop teaching it like it matters. Like you need to overanalyze the thing. Look at the direct message and take it literally. Act in accordance with your belief. That's what Jesus said, quite literally. And that's what you need to do. Act in accordance with your belief. If you believe You can make $3 million in 5 years from now with this project. If you act at 99% of that, it's not going to happen. That's the hard part. And most people think, oh, I didn't go to church this Sunday and I didn't like listen to the random story in the Bible. That's not the most important part. It's, did you actually believe? The belief is the central theme of any religion because you don't have the facts. You make a fact. Because belief changes your emotions and emotions changes your actions. Belief doesn't change your actions. It changes the way you feel about it. And the way you feel drives your ability to then act. That's what discipline is. Discipline is your ability to say, I understand I don't have this yet. I understand I'm not gonna become swole in the gym by just working out. But I'm gonna choose to go anyway and believe that it will happen. And then I'm gonna use that emotion to drive the action. I'm gonna use that belief to inspire myself to take action in the gym. Because I believe that if I go, it will happen. I will get bigger. And then you do. I'm getting very meta here. And this should honestly be like a whole course. So I'm going to kind of keep it more simple from this point forward, but I want you to kind of grasp what I'm saying. And again, ask any questions that make it more clear, of course. Prosperity gospel, Kabbalah, Sufism, which is like the suffering is law, Buddhist visualization, and Christian prayer are all there to exploit the power of focused belief and ritual and action. So in reality, everyone kind of got it right. Doesn't matter what the freaking cup you drink out of is on holy weekends or like none of that little trinket gift shop stuff matters. That's just all like effect to make it more real to you. What really matters is that you believe that belief and ritual becomes action. And therefore impacts your reality. And you could get that from honestly any religion. So just pick the religion that in your mind justifies your actions the best and aligns with the way you want to practice it. Because manifestation isn't magic. Religion isn't magic. It's thought action fusion, which is a psychological term, where you act in ways invisible to yourself that cause your beliefs to become real. Your body, your tone, your habits, risks, and negotiating position all change from that. I've always hated the term fake it until you make it, because fake it until you make it sounds like you're lying to people. Everything could be interpreted as a lie, therefore. In order to have 1 million followers on YouTube, you have to talk in a way that somebody with 1 million followers would talk if you want to attract 1 million followers. Does that make sense? Like, you don't talk like you have 100,000 followers if you're going for 1 million. You talk like you're at 1 million followers. You don't talk like you're going to 1 million followers, because that's still different from having 1 million followers. You talk like you're hot shit, and therefore people pay attention to you. And that feels like a lie because people can obviously see you're not there yet, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's real or not. You act as if it's real. Act in accordance with the belief that it's real, like religion says, because belief is the software for your nervous system. Prayers, mantras, intention setting are GUI for the code, okay? They're essentially the interface. So if you can believe something is real and then act as if it was already something in your life, then quite literally you're gonna manifest it out of thin air. And that is the part that most people don't see. I made this point yesterday with the Camaro, right? If I sat here and closed my eyes, and go ahead and close your eyes for a second too if you're listening to this, and I just thought of a red Camaro as hard as I could for probably 5 to 10 minutes. At first, I'm just gonna see the rough shape of a car, right? But then I'm gonna start seeing, okay, the tires. How thick are the tires? Are they really thick rubber? What is the text on it? Does it say like Firestone? Is it, how many spokes are on the rims? Is it like a 6-spoke rim? How many little like, spokes are sticking out? Is it like a chrome tire, a white wall tire? What kind of tires does this Camaro have? Okay, the color. Is it like a cherry, blaze red? Is it a dark magenta? Is there a racing stripe on the hood? You know how, so the harder you pay attention to these things, you start to see it more clearly and more vividly. It's not on accident. The longer you spend self-reinforcing this reality instead of just having it as a wish, that's what drives it. So manifestation, is it real? Well, it's not as a wish becomes reality directly, but it's as a self-reinforcing loop between belief, emotion, and action. And so there's been a really good like psyop that you've been psyoped into thinking that like anybody who manifests things is crazy. So therefore you become discouraged to believe or to do it yourself. And therefore everyone stays stuck in the matrix. But what happens is the more you picture that Camaro, the more you picture the office, the more you can quite literally visualize your future home, everything leads up to it. Because you think, what am I doing at that house? Well, maybe that house is in Colorado. My parents live out there. I'd love to be in the mountains like that. Maybe I drive to work into Denver. Maybe I have an office set up where we'll move the Ascended podcast someday. What does that office look like? Is it a high rise? Do I kind of have the city view in the background? Okay. So I clearly know that like I want to continue this Ascended podcast. That's going to be an essential part of my life. So I'm going to act as if that is in my future. And then I'm going to start taking actions backed by that vision and belief that that's going to become real. And most likely this podcast is going to become more successful because of that. I see that? Like I trick myself into thinking that's how it already is. And then I never second guessed myself, and therefore I never lost motivation to get it done. The risk is that magical thinking or manifestation can trip people into delusion if it's not paired with massive action and feedback correlation. That's the part that most of you are thinking like this can't be real, because you're oftentimes missing that fact. And that's the next part of this, because the law of attraction, thesis statement of this whole podcast, the law of attraction mechanically is selective attention, paying attention to something so deeply that it's as if it were already real. And then behavioral priming, acting and changing the way you think about it as if it were already in your life. And then confirmation bias, acting as if it existed even when everything else says it doesn't exist. And then all of a sudden, you're gonna notice that things in your life are gonna start moving. Entropy is gonna start changing to bring it into reality. And that seems magical. So most of you are already turned off at that point. What it means is that the way you make money, the way you talk to people, is already going to reflect that you are a person that has that achieved. That faking it until you make it is actually going to bring that thing into existence. It'll force it to come into your life. That's real. That is 100% real. Don't shut this off. Don't think I'm crazy, because I'm going to tell you why it hasn't been the case for you yet. Why just doing that hasn't brought success in your life. It's because the systems and signals sabotage your code. Society knows this. The elites in society know that you will be successful if you manifest these things properly. If you believe and act in a way that says that you already have the money and success you want, if you are nice to people because that's what the millionaire version of you does, then it's going to make you richer. Things like that. Society sells dopamine, comfort, and passive signals to hijack your reality engine. And most people give in because they don't think manifestation is real. So therefore, they don't try to do what's hard. They don't try to take action that confirms their new reality, and they get comfortable in their current reality because that feels more real to them. The skin on my body feels real. It feels more real than the seats in the Lamborghini that I'm going to have 5 years from now that I can't physically touch. So therefore, the sensory perception of everything inside this current room is more real for some reason than the Lamborghini 5 years from now, because I'm not there yet. So time is really the big diluting factor to a lot of us. Society knows this. And so they says, well, no, that's all just made up bullshit. And people who say that's real are crazy because they're gatekeeping it from you. You're being blasted by pessimism, fear, shame. Watch more, do less. Sit the fuck down and stop believing that you're just a millionaire, that money's just gonna come into your life, that you can change your reality. You piece of shit. You think you can change? You think everything is just gonna magically fix itself for you if you believe in it and take action? Well, yeah. It is. And I'm doing it. I'm living testament. Everyone else is doing it too. That is actually winning in life. And you're being stuck on purpose, because the more you believe that you can't change your life, the more it confirms that that's the truth. They're telling you what to believe and you're believing it. And that's more dangerous than paying all your money into taking a risk, because you're scared. You're scared to believe in something because society tells you that sticking up for a vision, believing in something bold is bad, and that you need to be one of the system. 5G, EMF, digital noise. We talked about the frequency wavelength. Recent EEG studies show no robust effect from 5G within regulatory levels on overall brain function. Higher level distractions and network signals still fragment focus. And having your phone and these lower level frequencies can scatter attention. Having signals bouncing around on a wavelength you can't see is dangerous because you can't see them. Let's imagine you could see them. Let's imagine that the signal from this camera to my iPad right here, because they're both electronic devices, I could see like a beam of light, right? Well, I would not step in that beam of light, kind of like a radiation beam or like a particle accelerator, because I don't know if that beam of light is good for me or bad. You don't see the beam of light going between your electronic devices, and so you're just surrounded by it constantly. But in reality, it's not just a beam of light. It's a field, right? This is broadcasting a field like a bubble around it, and I'm sitting in that bubble right now, picking up radiation, which is being processed by my brain, because my brain doesn't have eyes. It's not limited by just what I can see, but my whole system of a body is. So my brain is getting fucked by this little device sitting on the table right here. The real sabotage is that the data flow and the signals can kill your RAM with junk, not a frequency just zapping in your mind. It's a subtle but crucial specific scientific distinction. The data flow of having all of this noise, electromagnetic noise, is bad for your brain because you can't achieve that state of true belief. Your brain gets tired. It's like carrying around a weighted vest all day that you can't see. You're wondering why you're getting tired earlier, why your legs are hurting, and you can't figure it out, but you can't see you have a weighted vest on. You're wondering why today feels so much worse than yesterday, but you can't see the weighted vest. And so you're like, God, maybe I just need more sleep. Maybe I'm just tired. Maybe I don't have the energy to go work out. Take the weighted fucking vest off by controlling your exposure to things that you can't see that you know are bad for you. Mass media, algorithms, and even motivational content that is packaged in a fucking awful way try to decode your worldview with limits, curation, and manufactured consensus. This is all just real, that you can't change your future by believing in something. And that's the secret that the Skull and Bones Club, that the hidden societies of our world that actually have produced presidents, Fortune 500 executives, the leaders of the world all understand that you don't. And so you're wondering, well, why does it feel like everyone knows something I don't? The answer is right in front of you. You're choosing to not believe in it because you think that it makes you look crazy. But in reality, then it's almost more crazy to think that they're winning because of something that makes sense. No, there's obviously something hidden from your knowledge that they have that is why they're winning. In short, it's not just negative people in your circle. It's a $1 trillion industry of perception management, of subtle marketing messages, of porn, of influencers taking up your time, of a social media algorithm that tries to keep you sucked in, of video games, of junk food, of all things that pull away your ability to better yourself, to make you believe that changing your beliefs is going to not have an effect on your future. That's okay, honestly, because I want to win. I actually do want to win. And if you don't believe you can win and you didn't listen to this message, then it makes me look better. I get to win and you don't. So I'll take your spot. I'll be one rank above you. Because if you're just giving up, then fuck you, honestly. I'm going to take your spot. I'm going to be above you. I'm going to look even cooler because I'm beating another person in the general lump of men. And I'll win instead of you. And that should piss you off. I don't want it to piss you off. I want us to work together. But if that's the mindset you're going to take about it, so be it. Because you only have one choice in this life. If it is a video game, if you just loaded up GTA 6 or Call of Duty, you know what the funniest conspiracy would be? If GTA 6 was really just our reality. And they told you that, hey, we're working on it more and more. And they come out and say like, oh, this is a simulation. You've actually been living GTA 6 your whole life. And that's kind of funny. That should be a video. I should make that into a video. But so be it. If you don't want to believe that that's the case, then you're going to wonder why your life still sucks. Instead of getting more views, having a podcast studio now, and changing everything I just changed in the past year by believing that this was possible, by being delusional. So these are the steps to do it, because I haven't actually given you the process yet. Step 1 is get absolutely ruthless with your input. Prune your toxic news, which means all the shit that's bad, which is pretty much all political news nowadays. No wonder there's so much toxicity, because the news knows that if they can put you in a bad, sour mood, you're not going to act with passion toward the things you enjoy in life that actually change your reality. So they want to make you sad, and therefore they spread bad shit. Stop paying attention to it. All the most wealthy people in the world know they can't make a difference on the actual politics because it's just a theater, and they stop caring. They make more money. Stop doom scrolling. Phone on do not disturb, throw it on the floor across the room, or just like kind of toss it off to the side while you're working. So you have to physically get up and go grab it. It's going to suck, but do it. Audit your feed. Only mark interested or not interested on the posts that benefit your life and your friend group. Remove followers. I have 33 following, and they're all accounts that post motivational content, information that's relevant to entrepreneurship, to training myself to become a better person. I don't follow my friends on Instagram anymore. You don't have to go that far, but at least mute their account if they're posting just shitty beach photos all day. You don't have to like piss them off, but just get them off your attention. Step 2. Once you've done that, once you've cleaned up the bullshit, engineer your expectation. I want you to use journaling, precise self-talk, and vivid visualization. But pair the hard milestones with it and feedback. So the Camaro exercise. Instead of a Camaro, put a wallpaper on your phone that shows you your future. Spend the 5 minutes before bed each night with your phone in a different room after the alarm's set, away from your bed, so it's not fucking up your signals while you dream and manifesting it. Think about the last thought before you go to bed should be what your future looks like. What does that apartment look like? What does it smell like? Is there air coming in? Does your bed have linen sheets? Is it have bamboo sheets? Are they white? Are they gray? Is there a partner in bed with you? Do you have sex in the morning? Do they make breakfast for you? Do you go shower in the morning, in the afternoon? Do you go work out in the morning, in the afternoon? Do you make video content? Do you have a business? What do you eat for breakfast? What kind of clothes are you wearing? Are they linen? Are they cloth? Are they cotton? Are they polyester? Hopefully not. That's a bunch of bullshit. Do you go hang out with your buddies? Do you live on the beach? Do you live in the jungle? Do you live in the mountains? All of these should be details that you're vividly visualizing, because the more it's unknown, you're not certain then, and therefore your actions will never be certain around it. Does that make sense? That should be the most easy to understand thing I've said yet today. If you can't see the vision of your future, of that apartment, of that house, and you walking into it, then every action leading up to that is going to be uncertain. It's like starting a race on a track and trying to keep yourself motivated, but you don't know how many laps you're going to run. If you run 4 laps and they just say, keep running, are you going to be motivated versus if you know there's only 5 laps for the whole race? If you can see the start, you can see the end, the path between becomes more simple. Do this every day. Treat faith as a weapon. It's industrial grade commitment, not just a hope, because once you see it and you believe that it will happen, every action in between will subconsciously be guiding you toward that outcome, toward the entropy toward it, because you're reminding yourself of the vision. And therefore, in the back of your mind, when you're not paying attention, you're going to say, do I want to buy this car now? And you're like, no, because I already agreed that I was going to wait till this point and get this car. So therefore, you're not going to go buy that car. See those little things that kind of add up. Step 3, ritualize action and feedback. Daily anchoring. Track your wins and adjust fast to genuine feedback. What is painting you closer to that journey and what is distracting you? To do this, you have to take time off. The silence is where most of this stuff happens because it allows your brain to fully relax. And then you can put yourself out of your body, back behind the controller and not just in the first person view. You can back out to the third person view and be like, okay, looking at this guy who's sitting in this skin, in this environment, what are the things benefiting his life and not? And that's where AI can help you. That's where our community for free can help you. Make your beliefs actionable, seek friction, test your limits, and push for evidence that making these changes is going to benefit you. That's where getting feedback and talking and meeting and networking, all that stuff is going to be more valuable. Why our free community is the best, which brings us to step 4. Tribe up. Your circle is your simulation echo chamber. Plug into groups like Ascend or Altura, our NFT project, where your operator code is to build, to hunt, to support sovereign activity, and not reinforce learned helplessness. Because when the whole world is feeding you this negative news, this message that everything in your life is out of your control, that everything is just depressing, that people are out to get you, and instead you're just believing that, even if it is the 100% truth, and I think a lot of it is, honestly, if you let that negativity infect your mood, infect is a good word, then you never take action because you don't believe you have a control over your outcomes anymore. And therefore, you need to surround yourself with people that can reassure you that. That's why the community is the most vital part, and I dismissed it for so long. And now I've actually started my own community. The link is attached. That's where you reinforce your ability to change your life instead of just learned helplessness. Last but not least is our final segment. Here's our operator's creed. This is the quote I want you to burn into your knowledge. Manifestation isn't burning sage and begging the stars. It's not making a dream board. It's not pulling out crystals. It's hacking the source code of your simulation. Jesus Christ, Muhammad, all of the prophets did this. This has nothing to do with the cheesy little stories and the sacred texts that you learn. It's about the fact that they literally were telling you what to do. And you're taking their message as a gift shop version of religion class, and you're taking it out of context. You're not understanding that belief quite literally changes your reality. It wasn't just a cool saying to put on a mug or to put on a postcard. Believe it is real. It is the source code of your simulation. And you can literally turn water into wine. You can literally change what will happen in the future by believing it strongly. And when you believe it hard enough, people will come to you, which are your followers on social media. Money will come to you because you attract attention, you attract energy from the universe, and things in your life will change closer to that point that you visualized. So you can change it. It's just indirect. You don't get to take it out of your mind and paint it on a canvas like art. There's a few more steps in between, but it's essentially the same process. So to manifest, stare down the real signals, the data, not just the energy. Prune the malware. So your bad friends, your weak narratives, the bad news, the limiting beliefs. Every time you recognize that you're thinking something negative, bounce your eyes. That's why people with porn addictions have such a big issue, because then every time they see a hot girl and their feed reinforces that, they're forced to stare. No, make it a known effort to swipe off that video as fast as possible. If you see a hot girl walk by, don't do the double take and stare at her ass. Force yourself to focus on the bookstore or the coffee mug you're drinking. Don't give into it. Engineer rituals that rewrite your neural pathways, that show that you have control by doing what I just said. Take action like belief is already law. Like, this is already my house that I'm going to drive to today. Even if I don't even own it yet, I've never seen it in person. If I just act like I'm going there after this podcast and that's where I live, I'm going to take action and say, yeah, I already got the life I want. Now I'm just going to share my message. I'm going to do the things that reinforce that, and people are going to pick up on that. And then build unstoppable peer groups like my free Ascend community to reinforce reality bending momentum. Everything else is waiting for permission to believe. Everything else that you believe in your life. And that's why life feels hopeless. That's why you feel like you can't control things. And that's on purpose. Operators, you guys, my followers, no belief without proof is the cheat code. The point is not to know. And that's why I've never gotten successful before now. I've had so many businesses that lost money because I didn't believe that they were going to work out. I was just doing it because I knew that starting businesses was good. As soon as I didn't see success, I gave up because I didn't believe that it was going to work out for me anymore. And therefore I never did, because I didn't believe in it. No duh. Society gets you hypnotized, distracted, and docile for a reason, because then they get the money and you don't. Ascend and Altura exist to build circles where belief is not soft, it's leveraged. We code switch, we level up, and we teach you guys how to actually take action on this better with brutal clarity and steps to practice. The link's in bio again. Welcome to the real simulation, the matrix that you didn't know existed. Take the controls, or essentially never leave spectator mode. Always watch your friend play with your controller, the industry play with your controller, and always wonder why it was never yours to begin with. Or again, join us. This is the next level scientific operator led philosophy class, masterclass. on manifestation, simulation, and sovereignty. Wired for high achievers, no cringe, all code and results. I believe in you guys. As always, I'm rooting for you. We'll see you back on Thursday. Thanks for watching.